Yeah, just reading the sleeve notes, actually, of your album.
Right.
First of all, I know it's 22 tracks recorded live.
Yes.
In a concert in America.
Yes.
And the first question I wanted to know was, if you record, you know, from your concert and you don't like the way one live song sounds, do you record it at the next concert, or do you just leave it as it is?
Well, no, you certainly don't leave it as it is. You have a choice of nights. So
Right.
this is actually between two shows. It's between a show in Montreal and also another show in Philadelphia. So if a tune wasn't so hot one night, obviously I could look at the set the next night and hope then that the next one was going to be better. It doesn't, I mean, that's how songs get dropped, because maybe neither is right, so you have to pull it out of the running order. So this is about, what is it, an hour or something? I think it says it's an hour. But obviously my show is a lot longer than that, so there is a lot of, if you like, deadwood from the shows, but there's also other material that I might use for a future live album. So, you know, it didn't all go, you know, down the sink, the other half an hour.
Do you prefer the live sound to the recorded studio?
Well, it's really like one side of your brain and the other, really, I think. Certainly both are really captivating and very exciting. But I suppose live work has a tremendous physical result. You know, I mean, now you're exhausted, but you have that sort of physical depletion, but some adulation happens. While they're in the studio, you can spend all day working on something, and at the end of the day, most probably hate it more than you did at the beginning of the day. So, but then you have to learn what that technique is about producing either yourself or other people, and enduring hours in the studio crafting music. So one's about like crafting slowly, and the other one's just about getting it right once. So both equally. I'd hate to choose if I had to pick one or the other. I couldn't, because I need both.
I always wonder, though, if ever you think that somehow something is lost when you have a live recording, because the whole thing about live concerts, you're there, aren't you? You're part of the atmosphere and stuff. And then when you hear that on a CD, you know, you haven't got that closeness, really, have you? No,
that's where I suppose video helps a lot to make the show more like a visual and audio experience. But I think that there's compensations both ways, because in the studio record, you've got a kind of created and produced atmosphere, but on the record you have the real person playing their music, and I think that's most probably has its balancing effect on some of the either the technical or the perfectionistic ideas you might have for your recordings. They've got to go out the window when you do a live record, because a live record isn't about perfection. It's about, hopefully, more about the emotion of the music and about the, you know, the then, living with the then, as opposed to the studio. If you don't like it tomorrow, you can do it again. So it is a balance.
Having played and, you know, done so successfully with, you know, super groups like Asia and Yes, what made you then decide that you wanted to go out on your own solo?
Well, about 3 years ago, I'd at that point exhausted my options really with Yes and Asia. I'd reunited with the bands. I'd done things, and I really felt that it was time to sort of grow up and go out, you know, alone, because it's something I'd been sort of delaying for so many years, usually due to the number of groups that I'd been in and the length of time some of those have existed. So yeah, I had to really home in on this almost like a pipe dream, and then go, well, why aren't I doing this? And in fact, it was recording a Scottish guitarist called Martin Taylor. I produced his record called Artistry, and he was going out after we made this record, after I produced him, to do a tour, and I thought, you know, I envy him, because I want to do that. So it wasn't long after I produced Martin Taylor's record that I, you know, went out on my own, because I didn't know my repertoire could maybe make some of the jumps and leaps it has done in the last few years. But to start with, it was very much what I could conceive of, and gradually I've evolved that and changed, you know, in different years I sort of start to change the kind of music that I'm playing, draw from different Yes albums or draw from different Asia records, as much as drop some of my own tunes and play some other ones I haven't. So the solo thing's been very, very healing for me, because it's healed all the anxiety and the problematic situations you get in groups. I won't go into that now. You want me to. But really, obviously, taking control of your own music. It was about, after I've been playing 30 years, I've been playing about 30 years when I first really went solo on the, when I say solo, this isn't Steve Howe with the band, this is Steve Howe alone.
Right.
And in a way, that's a goal most guitarists have, is to find if they can do this. Well, as I said, I could see Martin Taylor going off to do it. And I thought it was really time to do it and find out. I use about 5 or 6 guitars, using very different kinds of guitars, Spanish, steel guitar, 12-string electric. So I kind of move around these different guitar slots that I've been working on. And that's my textural approach to guitar, isn't to have one guitar screaming at you, but to kind of build walls sometimes, or just cross textures of, say, Rickenbacker 12-string with a a Telecaster or something. Those sounds to me, they work together. They're a bit like a keyboard player thought, I'll have an M1 with a D50. It's the same sort of thinking, marrying guitar sounds. And that I do a little of that on stage so that the show isn't sort of static.
Yeah, not just one man and one guitar.
And one sound.
Yeah.
I'm not a one-sound guitarist. You can't say, this is what Steve Howe sounds like. Because in a way, I'm a kind of chameleon, and also I'm a kind of master of all trades. I don't like to say, no, jack of all trades. I think I'm a kind of master of a few of them. But I wanted to get very good at a lot of different styles of guitar.
Yeah.
And that's really what Not Necessarily Acoustic explores, really. Isn't so much, well, partly my writing also, but partly my performance and bringing those tunes to life. For instance, Clap, which is the last one on the CD, I wrote in 1969. And quote, as it says on a film called Yes Songs, that I wrote this for my son when he was born. Well, he's now 26, Dylan.
Oh, goodness me.
And Dylan's playing actually with Curtis Stigers at the moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We had him in recently on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Dylan's out in his own world playing his drums, and he's doing great guns. But I wrote that tune for him, and yet I'm still playing it. So it's a strange sort of evolution, because I've heard artists say, oh, God, I won't play my #1 record. Everybody wants me to sing this, but I won't sing it. Instead, I think that's one of the best guitar instrumentals I ever wrote. It was the first one I ever wrote, so it's very hard to follow when you've got a hard act to follow. The first tune you write is one of your most successful tunes. Yeah. So you kind of, always have a regard for that. And what it is that I never could get bored playing, because it's not about that. This tune, all my music, is about performance and finding the way to play that better, more perfectionistically, maybe, but also with more, body in it, more heart in it. Finding what I really wanted to do with that tune, and that's what I can do every night. I get lots of shots at it on a tour, because each night I can try to get it more suitable. So I do love performing. I don't make that a secret. I'm not one of these tired musicians who says, I hate touring. I like touring. I really do like it.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
But, Ry Cooder said, why spend 22.5 hours travelling and dossing around just to play for an hour and a half? But, I mean, that's what musicians do.
Sure. So you're on tour next week throughout the UK.
That's right.
You'll be playing the song, honing and toning each night?
Yeah, I will be, trying to find just the better way of doing it.
So how long are you going to be in the UK on the road for?
This tour's about 2.5 weeks. It goes 19th of June to the 6th of July, and it's a nice window. I got lots of places that I go back to, and a few new ones to do. Obviously, I've always got to play London, Manchester, Birmingham, Glasgow, Edinburgh. But in there, we try to. Well, there's some very key areas for my work anyway. But also, we're trying a few other places where we haven't been before. But that keeps it surprise.
All right.
Yeah.
Now we're going to be playing an oldie, really. Asians Don't Cry. Is there a story attached at all?
Well, there is a little bit of a story about this one. I mean, Asia at that point was our second record, about 1983, and the first record had the Heat the Moment and Any Time Will Tell. It was very sort of like punchy and straight ahead. Well, the second album wasn't quite such a crossbred of writing styles. And it has a little bit more of a pop sort of style in it, which I think Carl Palmer and I were less happy with than John Wetton and Jeff Downes, who got really teamed up and wrote this album. Right. When it came to do the video, the single everybody conceived of was Don't Cry. Nothing like the Heat of the Moment, the sort of twanginess of those tunes. But we were in a sort of keyboard area here, 1983, very, Fairlights and synclaviers and, and all the old analog stuff was going on in the back shelf. It's the old new stuff. But what happened was the video was conceived as being not a performance video, because we'd done that on all the other previous ones. So I unfortunately can't remember who directed this. I should do, but I don't. They got a whole story together of us really being. I was an explorer, and it starts, I think, with me in a tent. So you haven't seen this for a while, or maybe you've never seen it, but you're going to be in for a surprise. And there was a very debatable moment, particularly for my wife and I, when I was asked to kiss this lady in it. You know, I checked it with my wife. No, she was fine. And, but I think everybody else in the band wanted to kiss her, and I didn't.
Oh, right.
But it was really just one of those thoughts. The plot is kind of banal. It's a bit of a takeoff of the Crocodile Dundee, the follow-ons from that kind of era of films where everybody was creeping around in tombs and digging up mummies and things like that. So that's the kind of, you know, style of the video, which has got nothing to do with Don't Cry, nothing to do with Asia. But that's what they did in those days.
Yeah, exactly.
Married,
era, wasn't it?
Just something that was, and I don't think we're great actors, but, you know, it's a very unusual video for me and for Asia.
No, it certainly was in the mood of the time. You look at Duran Duran videos, you know, song, video. Yes. Where is the link?
Yes, just anything that was surprising, shocking. I don't think Asia were really bold enough to do anything sort of shocking.
Yeah.
We were just, it was just this takeoff, really, of the, what was that film called? I'm trying to think of it. The one it was really taken from. Can we edit this bit out? This
like an Indiana Jones or something?
It was Indiana Jones, yeah. The Lost, what was it called?
Lost Crusade, Lost Crusade, something like that?
The Lost Tomb or the Lost, I don't know.
Well, we'll have a look and see if we
won't
can...
mention it. This bit's going to be edited, please, you know.
See if we can see the link ourselves.
Yes.
Best of luck with the UK tour.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in.
It's been nice, thank you.
See you soon.
Bye.
Here's Don't Cry. See if you can match it with that film.